Almost everything ferments. The Greeks and the Romans and the Vikings knew this, and because of this insight, they were able to make honey wine, which made them wise and loved, and to say words that burned deep in the consciousness of their listeners. This honey wine, called mead, is simple to make. It requires, at the very least, unpasteurized honey and water and time. Hello, my name is Guy Shovlin, and I've made bottles of mead off and on for the past 3 years. One vital ingredient that I didn't mention in my list of basic mead ingredients is the fungus known as yeast. Because I'm not terribly brave, I don't count on the naturally occurring yeast spores found in unpasteurized honey. In fact, I kill indigenous yeast by nearly boiling it and adding my own store-bought variety. Yeast is a single-cell fungus, not a multi-celled, ever-spreading mold. The yeast organisms consume the diluted honey and during fermentation produce carbon dioxide and the magical ethanol alcohol. I've used Red Star Blanc champagne yeast and Red Star Cuvée yeast, each at around 70 cents a packet on Amazon.com. Each packet can easily seat 10 750 milliliter bottles of mead. Tucson residential tap water has chlorine added to it in order to eliminate mold and yeast and bacteria from the commercial and residential water supply. In order to eliminate this chlorine, which will kill the yeast in your homebrew mead, the water should be boiled for at least 15 minutes. I have used honey from Sam's Club and Trader Joe's, all having been pasteurized. My favorite is, or possibly was, the natural honey, with a very distinct taste from the Tucson Honey Company owned by Weston Sims. I ferment my mead, for convenience, in the same bottles that it's finally stored in. I brew most of my mead in very manageable 750 milliliter Quillfelt spring-loaded swing-top bottles. You can order them for $3 a piece on Amazon or go to Trader Joe's and buy the same bottle filled with the best ginger ale you will ever drink for $3 a bottle. The advantage of these bottles is that during fermentation they will let the relentlessly building carbon dioxide gas out while stopping the unwanted microbes from getting back in. Because I don't want to leave too many things to chance and have the possibility of contamination of my bottles, I will sterilize the bottles just the way you would if you were canning beans or pears or any fruit or vegetable, by sticking the bottles in water, bringing the water to a boil, and boiling the bottles for 5 to 10 minutes. And then removing them, placing them upside down so nothing can get in the bottle on a clean towel, or just closing the top until I'm ready to fill them with my honey, water, and yeast mixture. And now for the math. So get out your abacus and slide rule. You need to determine the volumes of honey and water in your mix in order to keep the ratio to about 1 part honey to 5 parts water. Also, you don't want to make too much or too little for the volume of the bottles that you plan to fill. You can avoid these cipherings and get started quickly by using my calculations for one 750 milliliter bottle containing a 1.5 to 5 honey to water mixture ratio. The answer is 2.44 cups of water and 0.73 cups of honey. We've calculated the ratio of water to honey to make our initial mixture for mead, and we came up with around 2.44 cups of water for a single 750 milliliter bottle, and about 3/4 of a cup of honey. So the first thing to do is to take your prepared and dechlorinated water and pour in 2 and roughly a half, just shy of a half cups of water, and bring that to a boil. After that's completed, we'll back off the heat, let it cool down a little bit, and then pour in our 3/4 of a cup of honey and stir it fairly vigorously until the honey is completely melted and dissolved within the water. After that's done, I can take a funnel and pour it into my 750 milliliter bottle. Just like that. And fill the bottle up, and it should come right up to the top. And then put the top, and then we have to put our yeast in. So in this case, I would take about a quarter of a teaspoon of yeast, powdered yeast, and dump it in the lid, in the bottle, close the lid, shake it up, and you're done. From then on, leave the bottle in a cool, dark place. Oh, by the way, don't put the yeast in unless the mixture is cooled down. You should have put it in the fridge. Get it down into the 60-degree Fahrenheit level before you put the yeast in. And after you're done, try to keep it in the 60-degree range, between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, for 2 or 3 weeks. And importantly, when you go to test it and you release the lid, be sure you have a towel over the top, because even though the spring-loaded lid will let pressure out, there will still be quite a bit of pressure inside the bottle, and it'll spray sugar water all over you if you don't cover it up. So slow and steady is the rule in releasing it. And that's about all I have.
At this point, I'd like to say that there are 2 facts that I left out that will improve your mead and boost the alcohol content if you choose to do them. Yeast is both an aerobic and an anaerobic fungus. It makes alcohol when there is no oxygen present, but it grows like crazy when it's in an oxygen environment. For this reason, you can boost your yeast output by opening the bottle occasionally and allowing the air to enter. Don't do it in a dust storm. Secondly, diammonium phosphate is a yeast nutrient and can be used to kickstart a slowing fermentation. For our single bottle of mead, add about 1/10 of a tablespoonful after a week or so of fermenting.